Norway is treating our food like a biohazard, and so they're bringing their own food here, and I am all for it.
So not only are you wrong, but you're also wrong. Got it. Honest question. What do you think of the food in the United States? Did it taste good? How did it make you feel? Did you have any favorite spots? And how did the quality compare to the food where you're from? All of these are very important questions because there is currently an online discourse around the Norwegian team that apparently imported a ton of food from the motherland, and Americans are upsetty spaghetti. But there is huge confusion around this whole ordeal because on one end, yes, there's tons of additives, hormones, what have you in most, if not all, of the American food. But then historically, we've seen teams all over the world, including the United States, bring food from their own countries with them when they go travel abroad to play games in other countries. More so to keep the consistency, to make sure that there are no dietary related incidences to where it impacts performance on the field. On one side of the spectrum, you have a lot of people saying, well, they did that because the food quality in the United States is trash and they can't rely on the food in the United States. And then you have the other side of people saying, well, every team does this. It's not because of the food quality in the United States. It's because this is to stabilize the diets of the Norwegian players so it doesn't affect their performance on the field at the World Cup stage. But I think there's some truth to both sides, and that's what we're going to be diving into in this video. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Please, please, please support the channel by liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. We are trying to chase 1 million subscribers this year, and I would really appreciate it if you guys helped us on this journey. What has been your experience with food from the United States? Have you ever tried it? Do you ever desire to try it? I think our food tastes very good, but the side effects are very interesting. In fact, I actually streamed with a friend yesterday. Some of you might know her actually. Her name is Issa. She streams all the time on Twitch, and we did an IRL stream here in South Korea, and she actually did a tour through the United States. She's from Germany. She did a tour through the United States, and I asked her how the food was in the United States versus in Germany, because she actually maintained the same diet she had in Germany in the United States, and this is what she had to say. When you did your trip to America, right, did you notice the difference in quality for food there?
Yeah,
and like
yeah, easy.
Things?
I can tell so
Really?
much. I hate the food.
Oh, okay, cool. Because there's Americans that watch me and they don't believe what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they say like, no, we have healthy food.
Yeah, our food's amazing. What are you talking about? Like, he just hates America. Like, I don't hate it. I just know our food's not good.
You
Did you, Norway like imported their own food to the United States?
Yeah, because they don't trust American food. I mean, it's reasonable.
Yeah, it causes people to break out and bloat and stuff like
oh,
that.
yeah. Mark, dank voor de reset 9. But what I wanted to say is, when I was in America, I was eating healthy food.
Yeah.
Like salad, whatever, without sauce, buying in those grocery stores where it's like super healthy and expensive. And I felt so bad.
Really?
My stomach, like the bloating thing you said, even with healthy stuff, my stomach was bloating. I was like, oh.
Yes. So for those that have traveled to the United States, does this make sense? Has this happened to you? You let me know in the comments. So this is the headline that had Americans up in arms. And it says, Norway transports more than 1,000 kilos of traditional food to the US World Cup to help Erling Haaland and company perform at their best. At the core of this article, it says the Norwegian national team are reportedly taking 300 kilos of fish, 116 kilos of Norwegian cheese, and 6,000 oranges to their tournament base. That would put the estimated combined food load above 1,000 kilos once the oranges are included, giving Norway one of the more distinctive preparation stories before their first World Cup appearance since 1998. Then over here it says Norway are taking familiar food seriously at the 2026 World Cup, and you have Erling Haaland here with his teammate. Don't know who his teammate is because I'm not sure who the other players are. I am, however, very familiar with Erling Haaland because he did play for Borussia Dortmund in 2020 to 2022, and that was really cool. This is where a lot of Americans had things misconstrued, because right here it says the plan is not just about taste or comfort, it is about keeping routines stable during a major tournament played thousands of miles from home. Norway are preparing for the tournament after qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, and their food operation has become a notable part of that wider buildup. The reported shipment includes large quantities of food familiar to the players, with fish and Norwegian cheese forming the clearest part of the load. And again, most of this is about stability. When any team travels outside of their own country and they play thousands of miles away, it is very normal for teams to bring food from their own country with them so that they're able to keep dietary consistencies along with training consistencies. So when they do perform in whatever tournament they're performing in, playing against whatever team, there aren't any complications due to them adjusting to the local food, and they are able to play at their very best. But I will also say the food in the United States, although very tasty, is not necessarily the best for you. you. And as my friend was saying, due to the chemicals that are ever present inside of our healthy food, we still experience bloating, breakouts, and all the above, and plenty of other symptoms because of what is allowed to transpire in the food in general across the United States. It doesn't matter if it's healthy food or unhealthy food. But tons of Americans are in denial. They're like, oh, this is just liberal propaganda. Our food is perfectly fine. I don't know what people are talking about. And I'm like, it's because you consume the food on a regular basis. So all the symptoms you're experiencing, you're used to. People coming from other countries and experience our food and, like, you know, they love it. They love the taste. They love whatever. But the after effects might not be the best, right? There's a reason why A, people pack on weight really quickly when they travel and try all the food here. And B, sometimes they might have, like, you know, some tummy aches, and they might have a little bit of increase in acne flare-ups and other things because of the chemicals that are allowed to transpire in our food. That's a real thing. That's scientifically proven. And the quality of our food has not gotten better in recent years, especially with the interesting things happening at the very tippy top of our government currently. So there was obviously a massive wave of discourse. Lots of people in the United States saying, dude, this isn't a big deal. They're just over exaggerating all of this. There was no need for them to import all that food. Then other Americans that are like, well, this makes sense because this is what American teams do too. When they travel overseas, they bring food from the United States with them so they can keep their diets the same, which also that makes sense. And then there's people from across the world. They're like, well, it also makes sense that they're not eating food from the United States while they're playing at the World Cup because y'all don't have good quality food in the United States. You guys have healthy food to a degree, but with the chemicals added in all that healthy food, how healthy is it really? You'll get some nutritional benefits from the food like anywhere else, but you'll have the added side effects of all those chemicals added in the food. And that's something that I feel like tons of Americans are still in denial about. And I'm like, how are we in denial? And we're in the big 2026. Open up ChatGPT and just ask it, since that's what everybody wants to do these days. A report also states that Norwegian chefs are involved in the operation, including Aaron Esplin, who said, "We want what we think is good and work with the best Norwegian ingredients available. Being able to serve it when it really matters is something we take pride in." The quote explains the thinking better than any outside interruption could. Norway are trying to reduce uncertainty around daily preparation. International tournaments are full of disruption, travel, heat, hotel life, and unfamiliar training routines all test players before the football even begins. In that context, taking familiar food to the United States is not a gimmick. It is a practical move from a staff that clearly believes small details can help players settle. And that's the mindset of champions, right? Leave no room for error. Have every aspect of the process meticulously analyzed and prepped for no matter what. And this is what elite level teams across the board do in general. So yes, the food in the US, we already know it's riddled with toxins and chemicals and things of the sort, but what they're doing also is something that most teams do globally. So that's something I want to acknowledge. It's a fact that the chemicals in the food in the United States aren't good for you. They are not good for you. And that's inside healthy food. Okay, the pesticides we have, the chemicals and what have you, there's a list of them, a large list. I made an entire video about this, breaking down the most commonly banned chemicals that are able to exist in the United States that are banned all across Europe. They're in healthy foods as well. That's the crazy thing. They're in healthy foods as well. But again, tons of Americans are in denial.
I just read this article that Norway is treating our food like a biohazard. And so they're bringing their own food here, and I am all for it. They have shipped in over 2,200 pounds of food to feed all of their soccer players. Our food is so fucking toxic, but it's not just our food, it's everything. We're surrounded by carcinogens, PFAs, hormone disruptors, and we wonder why we're all chronically sick with something. If that's not a wake-up call for everyone that lives in the United States to fucking stand up and do something about this, I don't know what else is. Let me know in the comments if you think they did the right thing.
This video erupted with a ton of backlash from a ton of Americans because they're like, you're wrong. Our food isn't bad. They're just trying to keep the consistency from their country when they travel to the United States so that it creates less room for error, like we mentioned before. But two things can be right. Our food has chemicals that are banned across Europe. You could open up YouTube and type in banned chemicals in Europe that are allowed to exist in the United States, States, and you're going to see 1,100 videos of people who have talked about this over and over and over again. That is a fact. But yes, this is also a common practice that most teams do. So it's not like they imported all that food to exclusively avoid just American food. They do this as well whenever they travel, and most teams do this whenever they travel. So again, obviously their performance remains the same, because it has been reported that people have gotten stomach issues and had to be hospitalized when they did not do that, and they relied on the food from whatever local area they competed in, and it wasn't, the best outcome. So again, eliminating those factors is a big thing. But on top of that, there are still banned chemicals that are inside of the American food that cannot exist in Europe. So people are very cautious about that. Now, I know for the people that are watching this from the United States that are like, well, James, what about all of those videos you reacted to before of Europeans traveling to the United States and actually enjoying the food in the United States? Those aren't athletes. Those are not athletes. They don't have to worry about blasting up their toilets and stuff after a game because they're not playing any games. They're observers. They come there to support their teams. They're pumping their fists, and they can indulge and overindulge in the food in the United States. I never said the food tasted bad. I just said it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of food that doesn't taste good in the United States, but there's tons of food that tastes amazing. There's a reason why the obesity rate's so high. But a lot of people who are coming in from all over the world enjoy the food in the United States. However, there could be some issues that come with enjoying the food in the United States. Again, those chemicals will do something to you. So not only are you wrong, but you're also wrong. Got it. So let's be clear. She was actually wrong about the reason behind Norway sending in all that food to the United States. It wasn't to exclusively avoid eating any of the food in the United States. It was just to maintain consistency so that the team was able to function seamlessly in the US, eating the same thing they were eating when they were practicing back home. So yes, she was wrong on that front, but she was not entirely wrong about the chemicals being ever present in our food. Again, there was an anecdotal experience that I shared at the beginning of this video from my friend Isa. She experienced the food from Germany and then traveled to the United States, did a whole tour around the United States and stuff, and had a good time. But the food, right? The food, like the healthy food, because she eats very healthy, still caused a lot of problems. Yes, most professional athletes and many college teams do bring familiar foods when they travel, and it's actually a big part of performance planning. They do it for a few key reasons. First is nutrition control. Athletes follow very specific plans for calories, protein, carbs, hydration, and timing. When you're trying to recover quickly or perform at a high level, even small changes in food quality or ingredients can affect energy, digestion, or muscle recovery. Bringing in familiar foods reduces surprises. Second is food safety and digestion consistency. Traveling increases the risk of stomach issues. Different oils, seasonings, or food handling can cause bloating, nausea, or discomfort. That's the last thing an athlete wants before a game. Familiar foods lower that risk. Third is routine and mental comfort. Athletes are very routine driven. Eating the same pre-game meals helps signal game mode mentally and reduces stress, especially in unfamiliar hotels or cities. And this is what I mentioned earlier. I feel like both sides are right. Obviously, the biggest thing is consistency. You want the dietary consistency ever present with any elite level performing team if they want a surefire shot at winning said game, competing overseas, right? Without any complications with the digestive tract, what have you. But also, the food in the United States literally has banned chemicals inside of all of the products that cannot be integrated in the food throughout all of Europe. That's a thing. That actually is a thing. So, of course, you combine those two things together, and the main thing is consistency. And the secondary thing that is still true is that the food is not great for people who are trying to compete at an elite level while consuming the food from the United States. Our food is literally not toxic. Please stop. It literally is. It literally is. Now, it won't kill you immediately, but I mean, it's been proven that we do have a lot of chemicals in our food that will, over time, impact your body in not the best way. But again, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it was a combination of both things, some things, all of what we discussed? What do you think? Now, obviously, the Reddit comments were going ballistic around this topic, as always. And our first comment says, sometimes those authentic fjord oranges just hit different. To be fair, I don't know where they grow oranges worldwide. I know at least in the United States, most of our oranges come from Florida. I don't know where they come from in other countries, but if the oranges slap like that in Norway, I'm gonna have to try them. People need to read the bloody article. Norway did the same thing when the Olympics team were in South Korea. This has nothing to do with America American food. Norway had also had food logistics attached to their major event preparation before. Their Olympic delegation once made headlines in 2018 after an order of 1,500 eggs became 15,000 eggs in Pyeongchang. Yeah, absolutely. The primary reason why they did all of this was to keep the dietary consistency thing in the United States as well, so the teams are able to perform perfectly fine. They would do this no matter where they travel. That's also what most teams do. That's what I opened up with in this video. My counter, though, to a lot of the people that were saying, to a lot of the Americans that were saying our food is not toxic at all, is the food is toxic. The food is literally toxic. There are a ton of chemicals in our food that should not be in the food. Now, I know that it's there to preserve the lifespan of a lot of the food that we have. Now, you obviously can still eat healthy under those circumstances because we can only play with the cards that we're dealt, right? But I mean, obviously, if there's an option to have better food, then we're going to try to at least go for that if it's affordable. My whole argument about two things can be right is, yes, the vast majority of the food in the United States has chemicals in the food that are banned throughout all of Europe. And teams that travel anywhere in the planet are going to bring dietitians, chefs. They're going to order food from their home country to have with them when they travel to another country to make sure that the dietary plans are consistent and does not mess up with the bodies and performance levels of the athletes that are traveling to new countries to compete. What the hell kind of meals they're going to be eating with those ingredients? Whatever meals they need to eat to win. Okay, I mean, hey, listen, athlete diets are entirely different than like normal folk diets. It's entirely different. You're eating for performance, not really for like the top of the line chef's taste. Yes, because the US hasn't been able to sustain elite athletes. This is fucking ridiculous. Again, another comment, absolutely confused and perplexed by the totality of the article headline. If you look into the article, it's exactly what a lot of you guys are probably saying in the comments and a lot of what we talked about. But like I said, two things can absolutely be right. A lot of the food in the United States contains chemicals that are banned in Europe. But the reason why people across the world flew all their food into the United States to help support their teams was not to avoid eating the food from the United States. It was to maintain an athletic consistency and dietary consistency of their players so that they can perform at an elite level on the world stage at the World Cup. Fun fact, salmon in the USA is of a much higher quality than that you can find in Europe. It's one of those food items that Europe fails at. Interesting. I don't know if that's true, but let's do a little quick deep dive into this. When comparing farm salmon, US farmed fish generally have lower levels of chemical contaminants and PCBs than European farm fish. However, wild-caught Pacific salmon sourced from Alaska or Washington remains the healthiest and most nutrient-dense option overall, featuring significantly lower calories, less saturated fat, and fewer toxins. So yeah, this user was right. Generally speaking, there are fewer environmental contaminants in US salmon than the salmon across Europe and whatnot. So anyways, what do you guys think about all of this? Was the online discourse warranted or not? Was it a huge misunderstanding? What is your opinion on the Norwegian team importing this much food into the United States to maintain the diets of all their players?